Welcome back for another exciting installment of how to install fursuit eyes. I have my eye material. This is buckram, and it's a see-through material. Buckram is a type of interfacing. Interfacing makes objects stiffer, and in this case I've already colored it. I'm sure people have their own ideas about coloring, so I'm not going to show that step. But I do have the back blacked out. I did leave my white not blacked out just because it makes a brighter white on the front, and then I've painted on my eye colors. I have my eye plastic cut out that I showed in the previous tutorial. I also have my eyes all lined. That was also shown in the previous tutorial. So we're going to be making some eyelids out of vinyl and installing this buckram into the eyes and then putting the eyes in the head. Here we are with a piece of vinyl, and you can use any material basically for eyelids. I like to use vinyl, and I like to sew a small crease in it, and I just use matching thread and sew just a little line just to fold over that edge. So here's what I have. That'll make a really nice eyelid with a little fold in the eyelid there. So I'm going to trim this excess where I sewed it, and a small pair of scissors works. Even a bigger pair of scissors work. I think I'll use a bigger pair today. Just trim it close to your stitching. Okay, got it nice and trimmed. It's just so it doesn't add any extra bulk, and it'll look nice and even once it's wrapped around the eye. So here I have my buckram. Buckram comes in yardage pieces, and I've already colored my buckram, and I've also blacked out the back. I'm just going to cut these pieces apart and install them in my eye. I've got my eye pieces cut out here. I actually sprayed it with matte finish, and that is so anything that I used to paint on my buckram isn't going to run or flake off. It's going to be protected. I really like to use this stuff. I spray on, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 coats of it, really light coats, just to make sure that my paint isn't going to chip off, and my image is going to stay bright for a long time. I've got a low temperature glue gun. I also have a high temperature glue gun. You can use either. I tend to prefer the low temperature until I attach it to my head. And so how I'm going to do this is I've got my low temp and my eye. I'm going to put a small bead of glue, just a teeny little bit, just enough to stick it on there, not much at all. Center that pupil on there. Now I'm going to take this, because it's a porous material, I'm just going to take that hot glue and smear it right on the inside, right through the pores of the buckram, directly onto that plastic. So it looks like that's dried pretty well. Just going to keep going through the backside. As you can see through this at this point. So make sure not to get any hot glue on where you're going to actually have your vision. But I don't know if you can see, but I've got some hot glue just on the edges of there. I'm going to just do it all the way around the edges. I'm going to get pretty close. I'm going to do it right up against these edges here. I want to make sure I get really good coverage so it stays on my eye, and also so it comes up flush with the edge of where my curved surface is. You can see I've got more glue all the way around the edges now. Once it starts to cool enough so I can get my fingers in it without burning myself, I start to press it down just to make sure that it's going to stay put. This is why I prefer to use the low temp glue in this step. So there we go. And then you just take your scissors and you trim it right up with the edge. If there's any edge that sticks up in here, just want to take it and glue it down a little more. Sometimes you can just run the hot nozzle along the glue that might already be there and reheat it up again if you didn't press it down enough. For some of this excess, you don't have to leave it. I'm going to peel it up actually and get rid of some of the excess so I can get the eyelid installed on that part. It doesn't really matter what the shape is on the other side here, just as long as it looks good on the front. Just going to glue on these edges a little more. Just want to make sure that it's got really good coverage so it doesn't lift up or stick or anything. Especially if you pack your fursuits, that way when this bends, then when you're packing in your luggage and you're traveling, you won't have to worry about it coming unstuck because there's lots of surface area for it to be attached to. And do that with both your eyes, of course. Again, just gonna put a couple little blobs of glue there. Kind of maybe see where I put them down. Carefully line up your eye. The second eye you want to make sure to keep your other eye for reference, just in case you've got an eye shine or something that you've already painted on. You want to make sure it doesn't look googly. That's pretty good. Alright, so I've got my eyes both glued on with the buckram on the back. I've got my eyelid material sewn. Got that nice folded over edge. Got it all trimmed right along here. And I've cut them into about 7-inch pieces. You might need a bigger or shorter piece depending on how big your eyes are. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be manipulating them so they wrap around the eye. I'll get that out of the way. So you can change the emotion of your character a lot by how your eyelids look, and you can make it look kind of mean, you can make it look friendly, all sorts of different emotions with the eyelids just by how you wrap the vinyl around or whatever material you use. If you want, you can take your fursuit head and you can compare your eye on your head and see what kind of expression you want, and then that way you'll know what kind of expression you want to work with, and at least get some feedback on what it looks like right on your head. Just pick whichever expression you think best suits your character, play around with it, and I usually get started by gluing this inside corner. Just put a small dab of glue right there on the inside corner, line up my piece. That gets this first edge here. Looks pretty nice actually once it takes hold. And then you can wrap your eyelid around and then next, this looks like about what I want for my eyes. So what I'm going to do is I'll glue down this second corner. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in that edge there. Now I can manipulate the inside of my eye, so I can make this turn up or lay down. I'm going to trim away all of this here. I'm leaving probably about an inch here, just so I can open it up a little bit and get inside. I'm just going to trim it so I can access it initially. Just playing with the eyelid here. Give the character a nice expression. So once I have something that I played with, and I kind of like the angle of it, I'll hold it in place with my finger, turn it over, and then get my hot glue on the inside of this, right up on the edge, right up there. So I'm going to hold it down still, and then fold that rest over. See? Just want to work on it, so fold it over. I'm going to wait until it cools a little bit. Put quite a bit of glue behind there. This is going to stick up pretty nicely too, so it gives my character a really nice expression. I always think eyelids like this are a really nice finished touch to a mask. You can make flat eyelids, but I just really like this a lot. So there's like a small flap here. I'll put a tiny bit more hot glue just to get that to stick down. So there's a small area where it's going to cover my vision. I'll trim that away. The rest of it doesn't matter, it can stay. There's also a little bit of excess right here on the bottom. I'll trim that away too. There we go. A little hard to see because my mask has got a black mask around the face, but that's a really nice eyelid. You can see from the side there. Got my pupil and iris installed, have my eyelids. I'm going to make my other eyelid match now. Just going to repeat that process. Play around with it a little bit. Usually helps to have the other one available so you can match it up and glue it on about the same level as you did the other. Just got a small dab of glue in there. Honestly, this is almost just straight up for this initial gluing. I'm going to match it up with the other side here too. That looks about right. I think that'll be fine. Looks like I have a little bit of unevenness, so I'm just going to peel this up. It's not going to hurt anything. And just re-glue it. Matches up pretty well. Gives a pretty cute expression. So here I am with my hot temp glue gun, and now I'm going to install my eye. I'm first going to kind of brush away with my finger just a little bit, just to make sure I've got the fur pointing the correct direction, and dry fit it into my eye. Looks pretty good. I usually start with the bottom edge. Put a little bit of glue on the end here. See if it'll get started. The high temp glue gives you a little bit longer working time, so if you need to reposition it, you'll be able to have a little bit more time to reposition it. Try to set it in as close into the eye socket as possible with that fur overlapping it. So, take my glue, run it up on the inside here. So now I currently just have it glued in two places right here, and I'm going to stick the other eye in there. That way I can manipulate either one to change their angle and get the expression right. And I don't put a very big bead of glue, just a line. Being very careful not to get any on the exterior. Push it in. Let that set in. A little bit that's lifted up in here, and be very careful and put a little bit right on the inside. So here is our finished eyes. If you feel like you need to touch up anything, like if you think the pupil needs to come closer or anything like that, now that your character is installed, you can take some paint and touch that up really quick or do anything like that. But now it's all nicely finished. The eyes are set in. The fur nicely covers it up. And the eyelids, very nice touch. So, hope you found this tutorial to be pretty useful, and I look forward to seeing your guys' masks. Thank you very much.